back with another edition of the Big Man RGB, the guy, and I am the pamphleteer, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. And we got to talking here while we were chatting and laughing and scrounging through Facebook, whatever you want to call it, and we came across one of the most exciting things to date.
I mean, you know what, pamphleteer? I got to say, you don't know what it's like.
I guess I don't.
You don't know what it's like. Isn't that an Aaron Lewis song?
I don't know
what it's like.
No, I don't think that was Aaron Lewis.
That's Fred Durst. And he scammed that off of The Who.
The Who, yeah.
That's The Who.
Yeah, that's The Who.
But talking about problems, man. Real problems. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about first world problems, man.
Okay.
I bet people out there in Listerland, not everyone knows what a good first world problem is. Well, what's one of your favorite first world problems?
First world problems. I was thinking, man, I don't know. There's just so many, but one of the ones that cracked me up was actually from the Facebook called First World Problems, and it's a card from a car show or from a car dealership, and it says, "We may have moved your seat when we cleaned your car." Think about the ridiculousness of where we've.
Does that ruin your day? I mean, it messes me up because I'm taller than the average person,
and when you try to get in,
I slam my head like that. Son of, that happens to me. That's real.
Yeah.
So, but it's not gonna like. I guess I'm one of those people that I roll out of bed and if I like hit a toy like I did this morning.
Oh,
and it
first,
just
that is a first one.
And it's like the first thing I step on is a toy, and then I slip, and then I'm a big man, and I kind of like bump on the side, and then I kind of stumble, but then I stumble into the wall, and then I break the handle. Like that thing happens.
That does sound painful,
but it's okay. It's not going to ruin the rest of my life.
Yeah. No.
One of my favorite first world problems has definitely got to be when I'm out eating and I'm ordering food. And they say, "We're out of that." and then my first reaction is, "Why do you have it on the menu?" That's
we don't serve that anymore, sir.
We haven't served that since.
Yeah, you know what? I was over. I was at picking up a burger or a chicken burger from this restaurant yesterday, and I said, and I'll have it with provolone cheese. And the young lady says, "I apologize, sir, but we no longer carry provolone cheese. All we have is American pepper jack or Kobe jack." I was thinking, man, every option but the one I want. But think about where we've come here in the United States. So many options, and we've just been spoiled.
Soy frappuccino, latte, extra cream, sugar, honey, salt on the rim.
Yeah.
If there's a place that makes that, I want one.
It's sad.
With a little bit of caramel.
Think about, because of the expansion of, I guess, the United States and its territories, and I guess now that we're a global party, I guess, so to speak. There's just so many options that people are just not happy.
One of the ones that is hilarious to me, it's boiling hot outside, but it's freezing in the air-conditioned office.
Oh, yeah.
Can't win. You can't. You can't win. You're not going to be happy.
Yeah, here in the Rio Grande Valley, you're never going to win there, bro. You're never going to win.
This one's mine. My personal trainer took the week off, so I have to work out alone. It's really gotten that bad.
Oh my gosh.
But let's talk about third world problems and the reality of where we're at today as a society. People still are, and look at our whole immigration thing going on. There are people who are struggling to eat.
Yeah.
There are people who are struggling to have shelter.
Right.
That's a third world problem.
That is.
That's a legitimate
food, water, shelter.
Food, water, shelter. If you are struggling, I know I was out and about with some friends the other day and had a little situation, and I cracked up and I told a buddy of mine. He goes, that just frustrates me. And I go, you know what, man? I'm about to have a cold beer. Mm-hmm. About to have a good conversation. Mm-hmm. I've eaten 2 or 3 times today. Mm-hmm. It's not even 4. I go, first world problems, bro.
Yep.
I'm doing all right. He starts laughing. And the reality is you have to become self-aware of the fact that we are so blessed in the society that we live in today that we have become almost incapable of reasoning what it is to have legitimate problems.
Right.
I know at certain points in my life, I've had a summer camp issue, and sometime when I thought that.
Did you say band camp or summer camp?
I thought there was some time where there was actually an issue where I didn't know how I was going to eat. I remember when my dad died, my mom had some issues, and we had my sisters, and I still worked. Still had cash coming in, still had food coming in, still had people taking care of us, and it wasn't that bad. And I wonder, there's people out there who legitimately, they're not waiting for a crisis to wonder what that's like.
Yeah,
they woke up today outside, hungry,
and they're living it,
and they're looking for water, man.
Yeah.
That's a whole other
That's
world.
rough, man. And that's where we're at. That's what we're talking about, is just the fact that there's so much stuff that we should be thankful for here in this country, yet we can't stop to think how close we could be to that. Because in 2 to 3 weeks, say for example there were to be a shortage of food in the United States,
or a state of emergency.
State of emergency, something where we could not get any food or any sustenance. It would take 3 weeks before all hell broke loose. That's 4 days from the shelves in the store being completely emptied.
Yeah.
And that's another 20 days from the time of actual cannibalism.
See, that's a hardcore word. People here, I don't think that 20 days will have straight out cannibalism. But then the reality is we've become such a spoiled society. I was watching a show called Jericho, and I think you turned me on to that, and a friend of mine turned me on to that. And, it's so funny where the show goes. I mean, it's not a funny subject matter what the show's talking about, but it's amazing where the show goes and what it breaks down to, which is those who know how to survive, those who know how to do for themselves are those who understand how to live during this time period. I know I myself have been looking at my yard for a while, and I finally realized what I'm going to do with this huge section I have. I'm going to make a garden. I'm going to grow some tomatoes. I'm going to grow some carrots. And if I can grow green beans, which I love, I want to grow some green beans. I don't know if they grow down here, but they do.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, pretty much everything grows down here. Now that's one of the interesting things is one of the best parts of this location is that we actually can grow quite a bit, and in this area. And because of the climate, and because actually it does rain quite a bit, we do get enough water here and there. And plus, we also have running water right now, so you can always cure the water that you have. There's a way to cure water. You pour it into a big container, and you let it sit for 3 days, so all the chlorine dissipates out of the water. So you can use that instead of pouring chlorine-laced water right on top of your plants. So, I mean, there's ways around it, but that is important, man. You want to make sure that if you're out there and you are, maybe not thinking about creating gardens or growing a garden, start thinking about that, because it doesn't hurt. Plus, it's also something that can get you going outside, maybe hang out with the kids, maybe get your hands dirty, get a little bit of sweat on your brow, which is all good.
We talked to the folks from the permaculture deal, and that's coming up soon. It makes you really realize that sustainability is not something that, I guess permaculture makes it aesthetically appealing to do these things, but it's something that has been done for generations throughout different societies all over the world, and we have become so accustomed to just going to the supermarket. And I'm not saying going to the desert and do the whole solar panel deal, which I'm not saying you can't either. Chances are, if you do and the apocalypse does hit, you're already set.
Apocalypse.
Everybody says. Just to throw this out there, because we are doing first world problems today. We're talking about that. The cleaner taking a day off. just talking about it. Just letting you know. Spotting someone wearing the same outfit as you.
Nice.
That's a crazy first world problem. You're listening to OpenWordNews.com, OpenWordNews.com/the podcast. Don't forget, you can get all the freebies at OpenWordNews.com/event. And we're going to break. We'll be right back with First World Problems. This is RGV Guy talking with the pamphleteer, and we'll be back. And we're back. Where are we back from?
We're back. We're back from the from the great state of Texas.
Texas. You know, we were talking about Jericho earlier.
Yes.
I was telling you about Jericho. You know, that's one of the surviving territories in the film. And I crack up because we're such big advocates here in the state of Texas for the Second Amendment.
Right.
But in reality, people may laugh. But I guarantee you, if something like what happened in the show Jericho, which is, if you haven't seen the show Jericho, basically there's just nuclear bombs that are
actually,
all over the place.
and I'll give you a little background. It's a really good show. Some nuclear bombs get, I guess, taken into major cities or major areas and then detonated. And it's all done part of a plan, and you have to watch the show to know what exactly it is. So in those regions that were not affected, were outside of the bomb blast, which are like 300-400 miles away from the detonation zone, then become new territories, and that's where the whole story takes off. And it's a really good, I don't know how far along you are.
I'm like 80% done.
Okay, well then
the last 4 or 5 shows.
Okay, then you're already wrapping it up. But the idea behind that show was all about preparation. The items that you would need in the event of salt, iodine,
guns.
Number one thing is guns, bullets, radiation. Like to protect yourself, you need plastic bags,
tarp,
tape,
tape,
stuff like that. All those things that you would never think to have.
I crack up with how fake our society is on so many levels and how real it is. And at one point, one of the characters, Hawkins, his daughter's like, well, is he a good man or is he a bad man? And the dad goes, there's no such thing. And I guess like in a time where things, I guess, where the blank hits the fan, I guess it really does become a testament as to, hey man, whoever that guy was before everything broke loose, whatever that guy did before things broke loose,
before that change,
it was we're in a new world. And today, that guy has helped us survive. And it's weird, man, but it's I've always we've laughed, we've known each other for years, me and the pamphleteer, and go through an assimilation of the people you hang out with. They say that my grandmother used to always tell me, if you tell me, it's a cheesy saying in Spanish, but there's a lot of truth in it. She goes, tell me who you're with, and I'll tell you who you are. And you've told me yourself, get the 5 people you hang out with the most. Divide them up, and you're the sum of those 5 people.
You're the average of the 5 people you associate with, and that's true. So who do you associate out there with? Do you associate with people like gangbangers? Do you associate people that just do drugs, alcoholics? People that are just obsessed with sports?
People who are concerned and they're preparing.
Or are you associated with people that are concerned, that are educated, that are knowledgeable of certain things?
I'm a book collector. Dude, I'll tell you right now. In my collection of books, I'll survive.
Oh, yeah.
As funny as it is.
The Ranger Handbook, that one, and then the Boy Scout Handbook, too. There's 2 books. There's a few books out there that you can pick up at Barnes & Noble.
I have Primitive Survival. Shows you how to use everything. Shows you how to kill a deer. Shows you how to get that deer and how to make every weapon from that deer using the horn and the bones and everything. And it's such a lot of folks out there who have never dealt with anything but first world problems. Let me tell you something. Third world problems are so serious, are so detrimental to the society that people collapse. I think about, we were talking about cannibalism earlier. That's a horrific thing to think about. And it's something that people who live in farmland and who are what people laugh and they say, oh, it's a hillbilly. Tell you what, that hillbilly out in the sticks will probably be around longer than you will if you're a city slicker who doesn't know what not to eat, where not to lay, where to walk. I mean, that guy, he's more in tune with that kind of a world than you could ever imagine. Because he lives it day in and day out.
It's like that song, The Country Boy. Country Boy Can't Survive.
That's right.
You can skin a buck and run a trot line, but a country boy can't survive. You remember that song?
I've never heard that, but you know what? I believe
Hank Williams.
It's Hank Williams.
Jr., It talks about a guy that just lives in the backwoods, just him and his wife and the kids. And he just knows how to live off the land, man. That's what it's about. It's living off the land and understanding that it's not about that almighty dollar. At the end of the day, you're going to probably use that dollar to wipe your butt.
Or keep yourself warm.
Or keep yourself warm, or burn it. Because knowledge is power. If you know how to either create something like fire from nothing, or if you know how to build something to shelter yourself or your family, and all of that stuff seems so primitive, yet it's such a necessity to human life.
Well, it's like I remember.
Why wouldn't you learn how to do it?
Yeah, I remember watching the show Survivor, and this guy, he knew how to create a fishing trap. So he survived. Why? Because he was going to eat. Everybody else hadn't had protein; they're dying out there, and this guy couldn't even. He was like, "Oh yeah, just catch me in a trout and be all right."
Yeah.
And it's amazing, but most people don't realize how far we have come. Mm-hmm. Think about what you talked about, the water, the chlorine, the fluoride in the water. I know we've talked about that. It's hard. I'm not a professional prepper or anything like that. I can say this, heck, I'm into the silver and gold thing. Mm-hmm. I think about how much value that'll really have. I mean, probably initially when things break loose, people will be trading for everything that's valuable for food. But there's going to come a time where you're going to want that shotgun shell. You're going to wish you had that pound of salt. I mean, it's just the realities. You're going to wish you had all that canned meat, or you had all that dried meat, or you knew how to pickle. Ooh, can you imagine how valuable you are if you're a person who knows? I think of my grandmother. She's almost 90 years old, Pamphleteer. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you this, that woman can pickle anything. From eggs to meat to she can dry out anything. I mean, she was a little Indian lady. Mm-hmm. And I think about it, that's a lost art. She talks about how in her time she would start a fire, shoot a squirrel. Shooting squirrels, man. Can you imagine shooting a squirrel? How many squirrels you got to eat? Yeah. I mean, it's unreal.
It's crazy. Yeah. But you had to do it. You had to do it during the Great Depression. This is a statistic that I had heard that virtually all squirrels were like completely wiped out, and deer too, because people were hunting deer and eating squirrel. Even possum,
raccoons,
eat
possum,
everything, bro. Anything. Think about it, and that's something that's so far fetched that could never happen in the United States. Yet, think about this: there's been a growth in people looking for organic food, looking for more of a healthy option, and all of that stuff's seasonal. So in the event of a disaster or an event of a drought or anything like that, those or people that are just wanting to eat that type of food would just basically dry up that market. And you would basically have to eat the processed food or the unhealthy food, and that will dry up. So think about any little catastrophe could happen. And what we're living in this day and age is a time of where something like that is so far-fetched that it can never happen, but it's so close to the door that it could happen, and we're always on the edge of something like that. Am I trying to freak people out and trying to scare people? No, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to go out there and try at least to get your hands dirty and try gardening for once in your life.
Let me talk to you about first world problems. Let's talk about some of the world's favorite first world problems. Sitting on your designer glasses. Those are a pain. I've had that done before. A disappointing air freshener. Aw. Mm-hmm. You ever bought that air freshener? It just doesn't smell the way it smells.
Unbelievable.
When you put it on. This is horrible. Actually, this has frustrated me for years. Having to watch movies on a phone because the tablet battery died. That is very frustrating. You're listening to OpenWordNews.com. We're talking about first world problems, third world situations, and the realities of where things could go at any given time. And we're not trying to instill fear. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're trying to encourage you to take the initiative, to be somebody who goes the extra mile and saves. By the way, hey, you could take advantage of some of the cash that we might be giving away and some of the prizes. OpenWordNews.com/event. And, for the all-natural person, they should listen to that commercial. We got that Pure Organics coming up.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be right back. You're listening to OpenWordNews.com. And we're back. OpenWordNews.com. And I'm the pamphleteer, and I'm with the big man, RGV, the guy. We're here just about another 5 minutes to wrap up this segment on first world problems, third world problems. This time that we're living in is such an interesting time. It definitely is a time to take a step back and how do I say it? Get back into nature and sit down and dig a hole, plant something. Most people say that, hey, what the heck? What's the point? We're all going to die. Well, some people don't believe that. Some people believe that, whether if I were to die tomorrow or if I was to die today, I'd still plant a tree. And that's part of the problem with this society, and part of the problem with human nature is most people want to destroy everything. Most people don't want to plant, they want to destroy. And there is a time to destroy, but there's also a time to build and a time to plant. And now is a time to be planting, in my opinion. What do you think, big man?
I'm just, as a whole, you hit it on the money. I always go back to my grandmother. She has been a blessing in my life, almost 90 years of age. And, she hits her little garden up every day. She lives a life that is so structured that it's hilarious to me. She does her she does her she does her reading time with the Bible. She actually she cooks her little meals. She likes to cook for herself. She gets frustrated when people cook for her, and she hits her little garden. She does her little exercises every day. And people say, what's the secret? Heck, that's it. Those 4 little things that she does every day. She cooks for herself. Mm-hmm. She eats a lot of the stuff from her little fruits and berries that she's got there. You know what? My grandmother does not have the following things though. She doesn't complain when she gets popcorn in her teeth. She doesn't like popcorn. She never gets frustrated when she forgets her cell phone charger because she doesn't have a cell phone. She's so cute though. She's struggling with having to get the hearing aid, so that's another perspective. She says, I can hear you, put the dang thing in your ear. That's another story altogether. But no, I mean, first world problems, in reality, reflect, if you can take this show, there's RGV, a guy sitting here with a pamphlet here, if you can take this show and for nothing else realize that here in the Rio Grande Valley and in the world, we have problems going on like ISIS, which is an incredible situation going on in the Iraq-Iran conflict that's going on with that. We got the whole immigration thing. You got Barack Obama talking about possibly extending the state of emergency because Congress isn't working with him and he'll act alone. Those are things. Can you imagine if we went into a state of emergency and we went into a full-blown military state? Mm-hmm. I mean, some people would be in upheaval. Some people wouldn't care. Some people would just go through life and they would be like, okay, is there sports?
Yeah.
Is there a Kardashian? Mm-hmm. Do I still have my meal?
Mm-hmm. Is my refrigerator still running?
I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Other folks would be like, wait a minute. Did we just lose our right to elect the president? Or do we just lose our sovereignty?
Yeah.
And some people, and who knows? Some people may be encouraged to do things that they feel are justified. And what I feel is justified is be prepared for yourself. I've really thought about it, pamphlets here. Mm-hmm. What are first world problems? Mm-hmm. They're blessings.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's what you complain about. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Think about that. What do you think about pamphlets?
No, I'm just thinking about. I have a first world problem confession, man.
Oh my gosh. Are you still missing that cup of coffee?
Sometimes my TV doesn't work.
Oh my gosh.
My antenna, man, I don't have cable. I have an over-the-air antenna, and sometimes when the train passes by, it just goes off. And it drives me nuts. It's one of those things. It's a first world problem, but really, at the end of the day, it's a stupid TV. It was probably some show that I'm not gaining any knowledge from. I'm just sitting there mindlessly watching it, and which is rare because I watch a lot of PBS. But anyway. But yeah, I mean, I find it very, very disturbing that the United States and now the population as it's growing is a Facebook society, is a selfie society, is a society so enamored with itself that it has no idea that the most important thing you can do physically is provide sustenance for yourself, as opposed to going out and trying to get it. And we have ran into this problem. Look at all these people coming from Mexico, basically coming on nothing, eating pretty much nothing, and coming here on just scraping in on the heels of their feet, and then barely getting enough to eat. And now that could be us. That could be us someday. We might have to migrate someday. We don't know. Our generations are so lazy. Our generation is so lazy. Or I would say ours, but the generations that are coming are so lazy that it's not outside of the realm that they could just leave themselves up to just going to the training camp, or not the training camp, but the FEMA camp. Yeah. To get work. That's what the camp said in Auschwitz. Those camps says your work is your salvation. That was written over the doorway of the camp. So when the Jews walked in, they thought they were going into work. And that's where we're at today. I told somebody that I know that has been working and actually not working, but have been siphoning off and using the government's resources for their own benefit, aka taking a unemployment check.
Yeah.
And I told that person, I said, what would you do if you got a phone call one day and the government says, sir, we see here that we have given you 5 years of wages or 4 years of wages. In turn, you now, because you agreed to it, sign up and now have to come work for us. You are going to be ours for 5 years to work that debt off. Then what? So, is that outside the realm of what can possibly happen? No.
Most definitely not.
It's very possible. Nothing's for free in this world. We're almost out of time. Your closing thoughts, my friend.
No, I just got to say here, one of the books I read that I think is a horrible book, but everybody should read, talks about how you should be disgusted at the free lunch. And, it's not that way anymore. Why is the free lunch something that you should turn away from? Only because of what's really entailed in that, which is you don't know. Mm-hmm. And some folks will be like, well, what do you mean? How far do you go? Well, you got to realize these people are coming right now with our situation here with the immigration. These people are coming here to this country not knowing what they might be involved in, what they might be being used for. We've talked in the past about Perkins's Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how he didn't really have to bribe people. He would go out and try to bribe people with that intention, but most people would pretty much sell themselves out.
Yeah.
He just kind of had to figure out who the person was and what they were about, and they'd pretty much put themselves out there. And what he would do is he'd go in and exploit countries. So think about that. This guy's exploiting countries, leaders of countries, destroying foundations. And some of these leaders wouldn't do it. Well, you know what would happen? Then they would send in the jackals. For those of you guys who know history, it's interesting to research some of this stuff because most of it's probably a lie unless you look it up and then you realize it's true and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's even scarier. So, openwordnews.com, pamphleteer, you want to take us out?
Yeah, check us out. If you have a Facebook, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/openwordnews, or if you tweet at openwordnews. And we also have a YouTube channel that's up and going. If you want to go on there and share our YouTubes, it's youtube.com/openwordnews. Until then, we got to run and we are out of time. We will see you back. Remember, we're on 710 KURV Saturday mornings from 11 to 1. Check us out there. You can listen live at KURV.com. We'll talk to you later.